so.
Yeah.
All right, here we are with Josh Kerr, his current and old stomping grounds at Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Can you just give us like a zoomed out view of where we are in your season as we kind of like approached the championship parts of the year?
Yeah, I think this season has like come and gone pretty quick. I think, for me right now, mid-season, I did the 3 Grand Slams, heading towards London Diamond League and British Champs, and then obviously the World Championship. So we're heading into kind of the more business side of things. Got the legs moving a little bit the early part of the season, and we're going to be chasing some fast times here soon. So we're here on altitude camp to get strong and be able to go after some records over the mile distance.
Can you tell me what's the importance for the team to come up here to Albuquerque? And like, does it signify any sort of change in the season, or does the team kind of shift focus a little bit?
Yeah, I think, it's very easy to get into your routines when you're at home and, you're surrounded by, your regular life. And when you kind of leave that behind a little bit, and which most of the team do, and have to come out to the mountains, it reminds you why you do it. And it allows you to kind of relock it back in and know that you're starting to head into the business side of the season. And, this is the time to, do the extra nap or make sure you're really focused on hydration and nutrition and getting the sessions right. So yeah, it's a nice feel. Our gym coaches are in Albuquerque as well. And the gym is really dialed. And so, yeah, when people come out of camp, they normally feel pretty good.
All right. You know Albuquerque better than most. Give me like a top 3 things. What does Albuquerque have to offer?
There's not a lot of people here. There's thousands of miles of trails, and it's got the best weather at any altitude spot. And so from a strict, you're here to do your job and you're not here to socialize or, go out and chat to a bunch of runners, like this is the place to be. But don't come here. I don't want you here. It would mean it would be busier, there'd be more runners here, and that would create more problems. But, Albuquerque, I wouldn't say has the best rap from versus Flagstaff or Boulder or some other spots that people like to go to. But I think it's so perfect. The university facilities are great. We have great relationship with UNM and our gym coaches are here. And yeah, the bike path and the bosque are awesome to run on.
You've been with Danny for 7 years now?
Yeah.
It's getting up there in years, huh?
Actually, it might be 8 now. Yeah, it's been a while.
What makes Danny different?
It's difficult to say that because I haven't worked with a lot of other coaches. But what I love about him is he's very honest with me. There's no, if I'm not doing great or, the sessions aren't coming together or like we're not in the fitness space we should be for races, it's not a situation where he's going to pump my tires and be like, send me out, with my little sword and be like, yeah, I can go out and do this. He's very strategic and he's so smart in the way that he coaches, and he can peak me for World Championships, for an Olympics, for any race that we want. And so we sit at the start of the season and we pick our points throughout the season, and he works from them, and he's never missed for me. And so the trust that I have in him to be able to coach him to the highest level it's so deep that I know if I'm going to stand on the start line, he knows that I'm ready to go, so I'm good.
You guys were discussing. You, Danny, and Julian were discussing your, some potential upcoming races. I guess what kind of shocked me was how democratic it was. Mm. Is it always like that? We're obviously not going to say what races or anything like that, but it was really thought out, conversation, and it felt like no one was, really beating the drum of you have to do this or I have to do this.
Yeah, it's normally, so I come from a passion standpoint. Like I really want to run these races because I love racing. Like I think that gets miscued a little bit in general running world terms just because I don't race a lot, and it's not because I don't want to, it's because I'm a human being and I deal with injuries and illnesses and problems throughout the year, and I know what my body is capable of, and that's why I'm able to peak when I peak in these championships. Danny comes at it from a more cautious standpoint because he wants me to be really ready to go when it's time. And then Julian comes at it somewhere in between. And so if I can get Julian on board, I can get Danny on board. But I cannot get Julian on board if Danny's on the fence. And so I came into this meeting today knowing that Julian thought it was a bad idea, knowing that Danny thought it was a bad idea. And I've gone into those in the past and still overruled, been like, I'm still doing this, and it's gone horribly wrong every time. And so I don't really have the biggest vote anymore. I don't want to have the biggest vote. I run this kind of business, this team, as like, I'm not here to make those decisions. Like, I'm here to like, I will be bulletproof when I'm there, and I don't care if I'm injured, I don't care if I'm ill, I'm gonna run as hard as I can. And I've realized that I have limits, and my body will always have limits. So that never makes any sense, and they have to make those decisions for me.
It was awesome. It was just like a very cool and relaxed conversation on stuff that is, it's important.
Yeah.
It can dictate how your season goes, and especially fallout if something that might not go well. We were at your practice, we were at your workout a couple days ago, and Chris and I are super fortunate, to see a bunch of pro groups and how dynamics work with teammates, coaches, and all of that. You guys have some of the best team dynamics I think I've ever seen, especially with the women and the men all working out together, and just how encouraging different groups were with one another. Does it feel that way from the inside? Do you know that that's special? Do you notice those things, and how important is that to your own individual success, I guess?
Yeah, I think we definitely know it's special. It's very difficult to get to this point. It's not always been like this. It's not, we'd be lying to ourselves to say it's always perfect, but we have a very honest group of people that want everything to work. But we also only see like snippets from other groups too. And so, when other groups are kind of disbanding and doing all these things, like, we probably know why that happened, but we don't see it in the process. And sometimes that comparison is difficult, because we're like, oh, these groups are doing well, this group's doing amazing. But knowing that that's not, the results aren't always the one that speaks, the truth of what's going on. And I think when having cameras at practice, I think it's a good representation. It was our first week on camp, everyone's tired, and the energy in the gym was great. And so that's what we're working on. We need to be stricter with some things, with timings, and sometimes when we're tired, first week of camp is difficult. But being aware of that is as important as most things.
Amazing. No, that's really incredible. And how have you seen and you've been with Danny for 7 years now, on the team for 7 years. How have you kind of seen the team shift? Has it changed at all in those 7 years? Has Danny changed at all in those 7 years? And just where do you think the group is now, I guess, as a whole, compared to maybe when you first joined?
I think now that the team's taking a very slow approach to getting really good. Like, we haven't just bought really expensive athletes and been like, hey, go and do what you've just been doing in college or as a professional. And maybe we should have done, or maybe it definitely works for some coaches. But I think what Danny has shown in the way that he can coach kind of a mid-tier athlete to really progress, or even myself. I mean, I've dropped 8 seconds off my 1500 PB since coming in with Danny, and I think I was the NCAA record holder and the NCAA champion when I arrived. He's just good at coaching, and I think the longer that I've worked with him, the more that he trusts himself in what he's doing, and I think that's what's really allowed the team to progress. It's difficult to recruit athletes now. Athletes want to kind of do their own thing or stay with their college coach, and the whole dynamic of recruiting is different now. But I do think what we have is special, and I think if we can keep hold of it and show more of what we're doing, like we are now, I think the only way is up, really.
Amazing. Talk about progression. And just before we started recording, we were talking about you setting NCAA record in the dead shoe era.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're old enough to know what it was like.
Yeah.
Which now I'm sort of out of it. But let's talk a little bit about the progression of like the Brooks brand in like shoe wear, because you've been there from the before this craze,
yes,
to now, where it's just like an arms race between brands,
yeah,
and who can have like the best shoes out there.
Yeah, I mean, the footwear game it's a weird one. I think we love being a part of it. Like, we're a smaller professional set of athletes, and so we're really involved in anything and everything as to do with the spikes or the racing shoes. And and you can be as involved as you want in it, or not really if you don't fancy it. But it makes a huge difference for performance. And when I signed, we had the Hyperion, and like that was I mean, if we ran a tempo in that now, the prima donnas we've got around, the amount of problems that this team would have would be insane. We were made of tougher stuff, me and you, Mac, weren't we? So I think, but now it's like, I meet probably once a month or so with the Spike team just in general, but we've been working really hard because I'm actually transitioning from the Hyperion LDs to the Hyperion MDs in the Spikes because of them changing the LDs to more 5K, 10K, and then the MDs to more 8, 15, and but I also train a little bit like a 5K, 10K guy. I run 10-mile tempos, I do 17-mile long runs. Like I need the kind of more marathon type shoes in my training setup. So it's been really fun to be part of the process.
And you guys just came out with?
We came out with the Hyperion Max 3, and then we came out with the Hyperion Elite 5, which I'm really excited about. The Hyperion Elite 5, I think I'm probably going to be wearing a lot more on tempos. I don't wear the kind of beefed up Hyperion Max all that often because I just get real lazy. My legs get real lazy, so I like a kind of lower profile shoe. And then I like wearing them on the track as well as on the road. I think it transitions super well. So yeah, I've been in the Hyperion Elite 5 I've been in the Elite 5 since shooting the commercial for the Elite 5 about 4 months ago. But I've been in the Hyperion Elite through the stages, so it's been really nice.
Amazing. Yeah, I think we're good. All right.
Amazing.
Sweet. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.